On today's episode, I want to look at some realistic trade targets for the Falcons because for anyone hoping that they're going to get Myles Garrett or Max Crosby, I've got some bad news for you. That's probably slash definitely not going to happen. But with 4 draft picks, Terry Fontenot does not have a lot to work with. He's got his first, his second, his third went to New England for Matthew Judon. His fifth, or he has his fourth, his fifth was taken for alleged tampering with Kirk Cousins, and his sixth was a part of the Contavious Streeter Van Jefferson trade from last offseason. So with that, they are left with 4 picks. So let's look at some more realistic, affordable, budget-controlled targets for the Falcons. And yeah, they're all at one position, pass rusher. Starting with the Giants edge rusher, Azeez Ojulari. He's from Marietta, so this would be a nice homecoming for him. Went to UGA, of course, was a dog in Athens. And Ojulari, unfortunately, has just been somewhat phased out, or at least his role has been reduced in New Jersey because they added Brian Burns over the offseason. Kayvon Thibodeau was already starting. So Ojulari, as a result, has become nothing more than just a rotational pass rusher for him. I mean, he's playing a career low 49% of snaps. He has seen an uptick in usage over the last couple of weeks. He's also super cheap, $1.5 million base salary. So at this point, about half of that's already been paid out. So we're looking at $700,000 to $800,000 left on his tab. Any team could afford that. He's also in the final year of his contract, so you're not locked into any money beyond this season. Ojulari has shown some good moments in his young career. I mean, 8 sacks back in 2021. Fortunately, it's kind of dipped since then, 5.5, 2.5, but that's mostly from a lack of availability. This year, been healthy, 4 sacks in 7 games. But let's take it one step further than just the surface level numbers. How about some of the big boy analytics here? How about pressures? Ojulari has 15 pressures. For reference, Matthew Judon has 11. Arnold Ebiketie has 8. Lorenzo Carter has 2. What's even more frightening is look at the pressure percentage, right? Meaning, if you're on the field all the time, then yeah, you get more opportunities to get pressures. But if you're not on the field that much and you still make some really good reps happen, what's that percentage looking like? I mean, Ojulari is double than the first highest player for the Falcons. And his Pro Football Focus rank reflects that. So of all the affordable, realistic options we're going to look at today, this is probably my favorite one. I don't think there's anything wrong or broken with Azeez. I just think he is unfortunately in a bad position right now between being behind Burns and Thibodeau on the depth chart, and also the Giants not going anywhere this season, so they'll likely be sellers. So I don't think there's like motivation to get Ojulari off the roster because there's something wrong with him. If they were winning football games right now, they wouldn't be talking about this, but they're not, and the Falcons could use some help. So what could a trade look like? This is a rough idea. How about the Falcons get Azeez and a 5th-round draft pick, and the Giants get the Falcons' 4th-round pick? Basically, New York gets to jump from round 5 to round 4 for a player who is playing less than half of the snaps on a team that's not going to the postseason this year. To me, this looks like a win-win. So, with that being said, we can look at our next trade candidate for the Falcons, but in a moment, our trade target. But first, help us reach 29,000 subscribers. We are a little under 50 subs away. So if you are looking for a free Atlanta Falcons YouTube channel, I don't really know what more you need to hear other than hit that sub button. And if you don't enjoy the content, you can always unsubscribe later. Second trade target. Let's go with Tennessee Titan Arden Key. He's bounced around the league a little bit with the Oakland Raiders and the Jags and the Niners and the Titans. But I think Arden Key is someone worth keeping an eye on. Former LSU Tiger has 1 year left on his contract, so he's not quite as cheap as Ojulari from like a money standpoint, because in 2025, he's got a $6.5 million base salary. So any team trading for Arden Key would be taking on a little bit of a financial hit. But he has been playing some, I wouldn't say really good football this year, but he's been playing some solid ball altogether. Plus, the Titans are an absolute dumpster fire. Brian Callahan, I've never seen a coach be so honest about this. When asked about trade rumors, he said, I would expect some movement on our roster for the next period of time. I mean, the Titans have already made a couple of trades, so why not add one more to the mix here? So Arden Key this year only 1 sack in 6 games, and that's not where you want it to be, but he has shown that he can put together a good body of work. I don't think I'm trying to sell Arden Key as this Pro Bowl pass rusher, but if you can get a guy that can get you 6.5, 6 sacks, I mean, that is miles ahead of anyone on this roster right now. So, what would it cost you? Not much at all. For starters, you'd probably doing the Titans a little bit of a favor, getting that contract off of their books, so you don't have to give them that great of a pick. I would offer a future 6th-round draft pick. And for Atlanta, it's not a completely, low-risk addition because you are taking on a guy who has 1 more year on his contract, but you got to try for something if you're unable to trade for a bigger name like Zadarius Smith, for example, because you only have 4 draft picks. Third trade target. Speaking of Patriots, how about Josh Uche, New England Patriot edge rusher, former Michigan Wolverine, 2nd-round draft pick back in 2020. He has not gotten off to a hot start this year, but beggars can't be choosers. So we're not going to look at any of the negatives. We are only going to look at the positives. How's that sound to everyone? So his base salary, like a couple other guys we're going to look at today, on the lower end, so we can kind of check the financial box pretty easily. Uche was brought back on a 1-year, $3 million contract. So we're looking at someone that, bet on themselves a little bit. And obviously with the Patriots, that is not working out. But you go back not very far in time, 2022, 11.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Like, can you find even 80% of that player right there? If the answer is yes, you are in a great spot. So hopefully the Falcons and the Patriots can maybe come to a second agreement on a pass rusher trade. Who says no, right? By the way, just let this be a reminder. I've seen a lot of Bill Belichick on my screen lately, and he's been pretty critical of other teams and whatnot. And Bill's the best coach in NFL history, and I know that. He also traded a 2nd-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. So maybe just pull back a little bit on the criticisms because you made your fair share of mistakes as well. Now that we are approaching the halfway point of the season, what is your updated Falcons record prediction? I think mine was 10-7. I might have been at 11-6 by week 1 kickoff. Sitting at 4-3, that's looking about good right now. So I guess I'll stick to 10-7. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. By the way, while you're getting those record predictions in, I'm just going to quickly fill you in on this awesome deal going on at Fanatics, where you can get this Falcons hoodie 25% off at chatsports.com/ATL hoodie. With cold weather right around the corner, stay warm while also repping your favorite squad. Get this Falcons hoodie 25% off today. chatsports.com/ATL hoodie. Fourth trade candidate, we can actually lump these two together. It's Michael Hoecht and Trevis Gibson. So a couple of guys from the NFC West that are, as we kind of move down the line here, the cheapest of the bunch in terms of what it would cost to get them and their own contract as well. Let's start with Michael Hoecht, who has some familiarity with Vance Joseph. I mean, he's been a Ram his entire career, a UDFA who was drafted to the Canadian Football League, said no to that and bet on himself in the NFL and found a roster spot on the Rams. And since then has played some really good football. I mean, 57 games, 27 starts, 12.5 sacks for a UDFA. Got to give him credit for working his tail off to not only get in position to make good plays, but also finishing off those plays. And then there's Trevis Gipson, who was a 5th-round pick back in 2020 out of the Bears. He has 11 career sacks, 6 forced fumbles, so he's had some good highlight-worthy moments, but ultimately he has not really caught on in Seattle. He's been a healthy scratch for the Seahawks the last 2 weeks, so I could see Seattle, whether they want to be buyers or sellers, just moving on from a player who's not even getting on the field on Sundays. At the end of the day, you have to try something. And I understand that Terry Fontenot's probably saying to himself right now, I did try something. I traded for Matthew Judon. I signed Justin Simmons. I can't give up the farm just for this one season. And I understand that. And that's why I didn't even mention someone like Zadarius Smith today, who's probably going to cost you a little bit more than any of the 5 names. But at the same time, a 4-3 ball club. Look around the NFC for a second. The Niners are 3-4. They were the defending champs last year. The Lions look really, really good, but they just lost Aiden Hutchinson. I don't really buy the Vikings hype very much. We'll keep eyes on the Bears and the Packers. The NFC South is no issue. The NFC East is not intimidating. The Eagles can't stop getting in their own way. The Cowboys are more focused on giving tours of the facility than winning games on Sunday. The Commanders actually might be pretty good. This is a somewhat wide open NFC. You're not in the AFC with the Chiefs or something with the Bills where you feel like a juggernaut's just going to squash you when you get to January. Terry, make a fucking move. So who do you want to trade for? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to hear from everyone watching before we get on out of here. Appreciate everyone for hanging out with us today. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next time.